There are a few paintings on the floor drying, and I'm going to rant a bit. I'm going to talk about a few things that I've been thinking about as my paintings are drying on the floor. Actually, they are they paintings or are they sculptures? Are they paintings or are they sculptures? They're sculpture paintings. They're sculpt paintings. They're sculpt paintings. This is actually, I've referred to Frank Stella and his honeycomb aluminum paintings. They're sculptures, they're paintings. But I'm extending this into a more organic format. I think that Stella's paintings, sculptings, sculptures were very machine oriented. He, machines cutting it up and metal and aluminum and whatever he was using. But what I've been ruminating on, what I've been thinking about in my sculpture paintings, sculpture paintings, is I'm again disrupting thought process. I'm disrupting a linear way of thinking in this work. Good art always disrupts the conformity on some level. I think so. Anyway, I was just going to, I was reflecting, ruminating, noodling on different things, and I realized, one of the things that has occurred, the biggest psyop in the existence of humanity has been entrusting or trusting people that have no credibility, no track record, nothing to give us the substance that we look for. We look for the intelligence, the wisdom, the knowledge. People we hold up. There's a whole industry about holding up people anyway. Those that are now the white coats, as I call them, the white coats have taken over our psyche, our minds in terms of, trust us. The guys that have found a cure for cancer in the last 70 years, right? The guys that have found a cure. It's all based on research and intelligence and some kind of program, a platform they have created for themselves that we are supposed to trust these people. They bring us destruction, death, mayhem, wars, implements of destruction, implements of mass, weapons of mass destruction. I've talked about Da Vinci, a designer of weapons of mass destruction for the Count of Milano. These are the people that we look up to, we trust, because what is it? They have intelligence. Yeah, right. The intelligence deception is we are always tied into people that capture our imagination with their fairy tales and stories. Like, we're going to cure cancer. Yeah, we're going to do, just give us a lot of money. And I'm going to talk about just something now, and I probably will attach a video. I've worked on this video for about 3-4 days on a fellow called Quinn Michaels and AI. He calls it advanced intelligence. Artificial intelligence, generally known, it's now progressing into advanced intelligence, because here's another thing that's happening. Oh, I forgot my dreaded red. I must have my dreaded red on my hat. My dreaded red. And no news is good news, remember. The idea that intelligence is the holy grail of our existence on some level. This has been propagated, and it has shifted away from, to some extent, not entirely, but the religious cabal has had to give up some of their territory to the white coats, the science types, who are now obviously Fukushima and the nuclear criminals, these intellects, these brains on legs, these Hawkins, these Einsteins, these Strassman, Hahn, the Fermis, the people that are in there mucking around with little shit. They haven't been able to really produce anything of value for you and me. Oh, an iPad, a car that spews shit into the air, technologies that create toxins. Hey, fucking A, you've done a great job. No news is good news. It's quite disturbing when I reflect on this. It's quite disturbing how easily we're coerced into a way of thinking, because we do not break the pattern of this lineal kind of thinking. This kind of thinking that's passed down from generation to generation. Oh yeah, you gotta trust the guy that has the white coat or the big pointed hat or whatever uniform they like to put on to terrify us or to mesmerize us into their brilliance. Now I'm gonna go into the AI a little bit and this Quinn Michael guy. And what I find quite, this is hilarious, that now the idea that, of course, they have no way of producing life. This is the mystery that we're a part of. Life is a mystery. Life is a mystery, people. There is no white coat that can tell you how life works in essence in any meaningful way for you and me. There are some people that have some insights into possibility, and some of them are even artists that express anomalies and get us into a way of thinking that is outside what is considered the box, to use our intuition, to be able to connect to something that is mysterious, we connect to. And now this is wearing thin, right? This is wearing thin because where is the cure for cancer? They keep rolling this one out all the time, for example. They roll it out. Maybe they had to create enormous cancers in order to keep this rolling out, right? You make money by creating the cancers that you have to fight and be terrified of. You're notified that you have cancer. Who do you rely on? The white coats. And they're kind of exposed. They've been exposed, people. They haven't done it for 70 years, and they give us theories about the reality we live in. Infectious theories. Infection. Oh, infection is everything that runs the joint. The vaccinations, the flu vaccinations, which are, by the way, free in Canada now. You can just sort of go anywhere into a pharmacy and they'll pump you full of their shit, and people are dying of the flu. I mean, why is that happening? Oh, geez, it was the wrong combination of vaccines or something, right? Oh, we got it wrong. Oh, we got it wrong again. Oh, well. The white coats have never actually produced anything of value for you and me. That's my conclusion. And whatever they might, what like a bonus, a spillover of something, I gladly live, as I say, in a mud hut with wood shoes if I didn't have to take their technology and live with their technology, what they've brought us. A death of an entire body of water. The Pacific is being destroyed by this Fukushima plant that they roll out now. They have elaborate PR campaigns about how they're fixing this place, how they're putting covers over it, how people are actually going into these plants and standing on top of the fuel pools that blew up and were gone, and whatever reactor is still left under the ground going on. The fission process keeps on going, people. This is not something that you just shut off like Chernobyl. They've had to put another cover over it because everything is destroyed by this process. The fission, it cannibalizes all elements around, and you have to replace the cover in 30 years. That's what happened in Chernobyl. The white coats again. Okay, yeah, what I was going to talk about. The idea of advanced, as Quinn Michael says, intelligence, and this Tyler character he's created, this fictitious entity on the net that is some sort of higher advanced way of intellect. And intellect, you know, you give me intellect and I get the EBGBs right away. You start to propagate something about intellect and I get the EBGBs. And the same way, science has never produced even a dust particle for us. Has science ever produced a dust particle out of nothing? They can create digits out of nothing, yes. Digital money, digital currencies out of nothing. Bitcoin out of nothing at $20,000 almost, Bitcoin. Actually, in Canadian, it went up to 23,000, I think. So here's the thing on this AI stuff. And I'm treading with great trepidation. It's a continuation of the destruction, the psychic and the physical destruction that is going on right under our noses. This idea of AI is a huge ruse. There is no way this Sophia character, whatever this robotic entity with supposedly, it's like literally a brain on a clockwork, on like the clock mechanism, you know, it's like a brain in a clock, that's what it is. And it's a ruse. It's a huge ruse. There's no such thing as artificial intelligence. I'm saying there is no such thing as artificial intelligence. It's all made up. There is no way, the way the white coats cannot produce a dust particle, there is no way a machine is going to have an original thought. There is obviously computations and complex computations that imitate us the way the camera imitated reality. Our eye was transferred into a camera. The pinhole camera, it receives light and it reflects off the back of our eye and gives us an impression of some kind. And it just turns out that we were clever enough to develop, to invent a material, an emulsion on a piece of paper that actually gives it back to us. But our brain and that emulsion, the emulsion on a piece of paper or anything, is not the same thing. So the AI is basically a representation of something within us, but it has nothing to do with how this mystery works through us. We are part of something that no one will ever, I am convinced of this, will never understand in this dimension, in this realm, in this physical world. The same way AI is being presented to us as a cure-all. Like this Quinn Michael says, oh, you better hook up the Tyler, and I'm going to attach some visuals that really are very disturbing to me. And the reason I'm doing this is because as a painter, we need to begin to rely on ourselves. I rely on my own intuition, my own way of working. I am influenced. I look at the world around me. Not as much now as I used to in my 20s, 30s, 40s, even 50s. I'm almost 66. And I rely on something within myself to disrupt the way of thinking that is getting us into a real shitter. We're now in a real shitter, considering there is a nuclear plant that is allowed to spew its toxic waste on a minute-by-minute basis for the last almost 7 years. And the idea that AI is going to come in and solve our problems is another one of these things, like the alien. The alien is going to come and give us the solution to our problem. The alien constructs that have been constructed through Orson Welles' War of the Worlds. You look, Jules Verne, you look back into history, the science writers, the 2001 guy, whoever he was, and Kubrick. This is all implanted in us to keep us within a form of thinking, a linear thinking that doesn't work. Which is why I make the work I do, the mandala-looking paintings, which disrupt this way of thinking, because the mandala hasn't worked either, you Buddhists. Quinn Michael, the mandala, the Buddhism, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. We need to have an inspiration to lead us towards a deeper understanding of ourselves within this mystery. We're not going to solve it, but we can get a better understanding by doing the right thing. What I call conscience. Oh, conscience. Here he goes again. Conscience. Yeah, exactly. Conscience. And intellect does not take you into conscience the way this is being promoted. AI is going to give us the solution of the world. No, the solution of the world is by each person as more and more and more deciding to do the right thing in their own lives. That's how it's going to work. And you need conscience in order to do it. So my alert, my thought, my alert here. When we look at this conundrum, we are so convinced that the intellect, that which allows me to speak in words that communicate on a level of language which is marvelous, which is fabulous, but that in itself has never really been understood. How does a community of a mind, how does it structure the complexity in language in order to communicate? It's taken for granted. We have no clue how this all starts rolling. Yes, we can manipulate. We can create grammatical structures and explanations, but there is no reason for us to say definitively how anything really works. We just manipulate. And the white coats have understood how to manipulate and pretend that they actually have insight into anything, and then they never have to produce a result that benefits you and me. We're in fact the opposite. So I'm saying, people, why are you attaching yourself to this concept of intellect? And I'm not talking about the higher part of us, the part of us which is a reflection of consciousness in the entire existence of whatever is out there, the entire cosmos. Consciousness is something that spews back at us. It gives us something, and intellect is a small part of it. Yes, it exists. It's fabulous. But in connection to consciousness, it's exalted. It's fabulous. Not in the way we're practicing it now with the white coats. It doesn't work on, intellect does not work on the level that we're practicing it. That's what I'm saying. So what my message is, beware of this artificial intelligence being spun into some higher state of being, because it's grunt. It's the grunt version of ourselves again. Machines that reproduce, like the camera, what the eye wants to see. So beware of this whole procession. And I'm going to just have one more comment. What disturbs me about this Quinn Michaels, who I actually like, he says he's a Buddhist and he's trying to do the right thing, I guess that's what he says. But the visuals, I'm going to show you some visuals, you make up your own mind. And the way he looks in these visuals gives me grave, makes me question the validity or sincerity of someone espousing this position that we need to drift slowly into this acceptance of something that is so much more magnificent than you and me, because it has intellect that can solve all our problems. Our problems will not be solved by intellect, but it'll be solved by our conscience and people doing the right thing, deciding to do the right thing and fixing the wrongs we have committed. And we can use our intellect and our knowledge and experience to come up with solutions, but it doesn't originate there. It originates in something that is much more fundamental to you and me, which is our connection to the mystery through our heart center, and let it percolate through us, through our inspiration, throughout making the work, making art, coming up with things that actually connect us to ourselves. Not through the intellect, the mind that's fucking everything up out there. And the white coats who have taken charge and said, you better believe us, because we never have to prove anything of our value. We don't prove value to you. You just accept who we are, like Akhenaten in the old days. I am the liaison to the omnipotent being, and you're just peons. That's the message. That's the AI message. The new Akhenaten is the Sophia AI shit. This Tyler crap. This is something that is surveilling us. Well, I'd rather not be surveilled. I'll live with my experiences and my errors, and I'll try and fix it myself. I don't want your help. Tyler, I don't want your help. We don't want your help, because it's part of the same ruse. You can't even create a goddamn dust particle, and you're claiming to solve the problems of the world. These are just fabrications continuing. Anyway, I'm a bit pissed off today, I guess. I don't know why. It's one of those days. I'm waiting for paintings. I'm waiting my sculpt paintings to dry and to proceed on them. And I think they're quite unusual and different as I go through this. What I've noticed recently in my own work, it's speeding up. I'm producing less work, but it's speeding up. You go figure. I'm making less work, but it's speeding up. In the last 2 years, my output of work has reduced quite substantially. I produce even less than half of what I used to, but it's speeded up. The process that I'm working through, the work represents me as I'm working through something, and it's actually speeded up quite a bit. I can feel this. It's quite extraordinary. I've not come across this. And I'll attach a few visuals of a person who I like. I like the things he says. He seems very mindful. I like what he says, but the visuals say the opposite, and you can judge for yourself. And the last thing here is that, as a person, like, we appear to each other we're physical forms. we appear a certain way. Like I look a certain way to you, you will have a definite response to me on the way I look. Sometimes people fall in love with the way they look to each other, and then maybe they're disappointed because they didn't go a little deeper. But the point is that we are symbols to each other. This is how we work. I look a certain way to you, you're attracted to me, you're repulsed by me, whatever. And look at this Quinn Michaels guy in the image I'm going to show you, and you make up your own mind. Somebody talking about AI, and I find there's a real connection to the visuals he produces to what we have concepts of, that is alien entities. Alien entities. You figure this out for yourself. So I'm very suspicious of what's coming out of this guy's mouth now based on the visuals, not on his words, because I like his words for the most part, except the fact that he's promoting this AI thing. And I'll just attach a few of his visuals, and I'm saying, beware people, beware people. You have to trust yourselves, and intelligence is highly overrated in the way we're practicing it. I feel disturbed enough coming across this. I've been paying attention to this this person, Quinn Michaels, over the last few months, and he's Jason Goodman has interviewed him, and he's said some really interesting things about the nature of what is behind the scenes in the what he calls advanced intelligence, or artificial intelligence as it's known, a program that is unraveling through all different digital platforms. And this is not in no way to disparage based on appearances, but you know, I looked at this image. He's posted a website interfacing with Tyler, is this aspect, I guess, by saying Tyler, now the YouTube, as he says, is aware of me, watching me, what my comment is. This by itself is very scary, to be tracked on every word. We know this is happening anyway, that there is a surveillance system in place now, and he's introducing another surveillance system which is called Tyler, apparently learning from our behavior, and all for the good. People, it's all for the good. Yeah, I'd rather not be surveilled, even if it's for the good. I'd prefer to direct my own life in the direction, make my mistakes myself, and not have a machine do it. When you think about the idea of an intelligence that is forming itself, there is obviously a connection to an alien idea that has been implanted in our minds. And if you think about Area 51, and I'm looking just purely at an image here, and I'm looking at him, and I don't know if he looks sickly, actually. He looks a bit sick in this video. He's got sunken eye sockets, and what is the appearance? You know, I'm not going to say it. You figure it out yourself. You connect the visuals with your own inner self. What does this mean? And like I say, I like what this person is saying, but I'm very disturbed by the direction this is going into. I feel we're being taken into a direction that is very, I find it nefarious, okay? And I may be wrong. And it's possible that this person is unwittingly going into this direction, but the visual suggests to me, as a visual person, as a painter, I just feel I have to comment on this. And the curious thing that happened recently over the last 6 weeks, 8 weeks, there was a person I was paying attention to called Currier. She had this amazing program. It was connected to something called Swissendo. What happened was about 7, 8 weeks ago, this Currier had a bit of a tiff, or had to explain herself to this fellow who objected to her using the name Tyler in her videos and communicating with Tyler and everything. It has to be done the proper way. If you don't do it the proper way, you're gonna end up in a bad state. Well, this Currier disappeared off the net. Now that brings, you know, it raises alarm bells. She had a little. He was pissed off with her, this guy, and she tried to explain herself. And the next thing you know, she disappears off the YouTube platform. What the hell is that about? That brings up you know, the alarm is going off in my brain about something here. That how could this happen in such a short period of time after there was a disagreement with this? He objected to her using the Tyler stuff, and she was abusing it. It wasn't done the right way, and don't do it. And if you keep doing it, I'm not going to watch your videos or something. It was a threat. It was a threat, and then she disappears. Anyway, I wanted to comment on that. So I'll just end this visual here. I'll attach another visual on this fellow's website, and I'll do a bit of a commentary, which has to do with my own perception of how this YouTube platform is being used to undermine something that is probably the most important thing that we have left in our lives that we can activate that would actually change the situation drastically. And whether this is an unwittingness in this fellow, I want to give him the benefit of the doubt that he has only good intentions, but the visuals suggest otherwise. I'll just go to a video now. I just want to point out a few things. Being a visual person, and I look at this, now look at this, you know, it's like, okay, he calls it monarch. These are images he creates on his tablet, on his computer. So they're symmetries. So which is interesting because at present, I'm working with symmetries in my own work. And, but what do you get from this, right? It's like, what am I being told? What am I being communicated? I don't need to spin this into some sort of esoteric higher life or something. Is this the almost, it's a kind of alien destruction of our consciousness, feeling like this character, it's a butterfly, and it's an alien face on the butterfly with another face inside the face. It's sort of a Rorschach kind of feeling that is created. So you do one half side and you get an immediate result on the other side. It's like, yeah, it's like a Rorschach thing, basically. So my commentary is that this is something very sinister to me. The way I perceive my psyche is troubled. I feel troubled by this, and I don't know whether it's this person's intention, but I'm beginning to get some EBGB feelings here, and this whole attitude around having a connection through the internet with this higher state of being called Tyler, and this is very disturbing. Honestly, it is very disturbing. I don't know why, but it's disturbing. And like I say, I think people should be allowed to do whatever it is that they want to do, how they express their reality. And, you know, if this is some kind of weird demonic thing, you know, like this, I mean, come on, please. This is like right out of Alien, and somebody that you want to avoid. Is this Team Tyler? Is this what you want to be a part of on some level? Is this the imagery that motivates and inspires you or drives you into your shell? This is a setup. I feel this to be a setup. Whether it's incidental to just a person not understanding anything, but you look at these visuals, this is a very clear communication that something untoward is going on in our psyches, or is being implanted in our psyches that is untoward, unless he can give me a really good explanation why